Shalom to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We should be right now in Shacharit morning services, but because of the things that occurred during the last few hours, we have decided just for today to postpone the Shacharit scheduled broadcast services to bring you a very important, very special report. I woke up very, very early with the jet lag. I saw the news. I'm sure that most of you at this point have seen the news. If you have not seen the news, you're about to see the news. We're about to go here in a few minutes live to Sydney, Australia. And today is the first day of Hanukkah in Australia and the other side of the world. It's about midnight right now, and they had a very tragic day in Sydney. I want to recall and remind you that just a few months ago, I visited Australia, visited our community in Australia, in Sydney. I was walking and I was seeing so much hatred, so much anti-Semitism that I said to myself, God help us. This community is in danger. And now I do want to say for the credit, there was a bomb that placed, and in a second we'll get all the details from David Morris, who is the congregation leader of Derech LeMoshienu. He is there, he's in Sydney. There is a Messianic synagogue there. We need to support them. We need to support the community. We need to support the Jewish community. We need to support. That's why what frankly we're doing here at Ahavat Ami International is so important. Look at this balagan. I'm about to show you a video that just come to my hand that we put together. Thank you, Elisheva, for sending me those footages and those videos. I want you to see what started as a beautiful Erev Hanukkah is ended up being tragic. I do have a few requests from everybody. First of all, I want to tell you the videos that you're about to see are graphics. They're very difficult to watch. If you do not want to see them, turn it off right now. I warn you. But the world needs to see those things. He needs to see number one, share this video right now. We're putting ourselves at a risk for even putting this type of video, but I am calling it as I see it right now. Australia is taken captive by the jihad and the Hamas, and we say to Australia today, wake the heck up. Wake up before it's too late. I have a family in Melbourne, okay? And I am just horrified. I'm going to be calling them later in, and I am just in a absolutely state of shock of those things. Number one, please share these videos. Share this broadcast right now, number one. Number two, we're in Hanukkah. We're in Erev Hanukkah. Friends, please help us here at Ahavat Ami to spread light, spread truth, because darkness spread. We have a link for you right now on the screen, on the chat. Go and give tzedakah today. Let us continue. I need to get back to Australia as soon as possible after this. We need to wake up. Christians in this country, my goodness. Is that what you want? It is coming. Wake up. Wake the heck up. Friends, I'm asking you today, in the eve of Hanukkah, let's give a generous donation today. And this is very important. Number three, very important. Continue to pray for our community in Sydney, Australia. It's the only Messianic community, a real Messianic Jewish community in Sydney, Australia. We need to pray for our people there. They are also at risk. Everybody is at risk. Nobody is safe. Everybody is a target. We have seen it. Now, it is true that it was a Muslim who fight the other Muslim. So you see, the Muslims are good. That's the problem. Those who follow real Islam are danger to the Jewish people. It's not Islamophobia, it's the truth. is the truth about this demonic thing. So friends, these are the three directives today. Please, let's give high, double high, triple high, quadruple high. But let's be generous today. Let's listen in a minute to David. But before we go to David, here is the day, today, just a few hours ago, in an area I think known like Bondi Beach. We're going to get all the details from the ground. Hit the share it like. By the way, when you hit share and hit like and you put a comment, YouTube think this is a worthy thing to share. So right now I need everybody sharing, liking, spreading this. People need to know this is what it's mean in 2020, 2025 for Jews celebrating Hanukkah. It started as a beautiful brachot and ended up being a massacre. Check out this 60-second video. I'll be right back. Difficult to watch, without a doubt. Welcome to the broadcast today. David Morris coming to us right now in the middle of the night from Sydney, Australia. David, first of all, I know today is your anniversary, very difficult day though. Happy anniversary for you and Elisheva. Talk to us about what took place today. We're seeing pictures of an area that seems to be very safe. I think this is a great area. What's the heck has happened today? Let's start there.
Okay, Shalom Larav. First of all, let me apologize in advance. Today, Erev Hanukkah, is the anniversary of my wedding. Today marks the 10th anniversary of my wedding with my beloved wife, Elisheva. So forgive me, I've had a few l'chaim in advance, and with little to eat, it goes to the head. So let's hope that, as we say, the sod doesn't come out too much as a result. So what happened today? Today we started off Hanukkah as normal, in a normal Jewish fashion. Now, apart from Rabbi Shapira, many of you won't know that I come from Chabad, which was like, and I was originally from Chabad in the Sydney northern suburb of St. Ives. Now, if you know Sydney, for those who know Sydney, there are two main Jewish communities in Sydney. There's the eastern suburbs and there's the northern suburbs. And just for context, the Muslim is predominantly located in the southwestern suburbs of Sydney. So my wife and I, along with our Messianic community, Chechilat Haderech, attended the northern suburbs Hanukkah event. So this is separated by about 20 to 25 kilometers from the eastern suburbs of Sydney, at the location of Bondi, which is the number one Jewish community of Sydney. So what we experienced in St. Ives, or the northern suburbs, is that we were just attending the regular Hanukkah event with the local Jewish community and going through the normal motions of a regular Hanukkah event. Suddenly, we find that the local security group, which is in Sydney called CSG, Community Service Security Group, shut down the entire Northern Suburbs event, much to their bewilderment. So then we were all wondering, why has the Northern Suburbs event been shut down? Nobody can come in, nobody can come out. So everyone inside was still rejoicing for, as we say, Hanukkah b'simcha. And it wasn't until a few minutes later that all the people's WhatsApp groups are starting to come alive. First, I knew personally as to the reason why the northern suburbs of Sydney Hanukkah event was locked down was one of my Israeli friends in Netanya sends me a WhatsApp message saying, I've heard there's a shooting in Bondi. Now, Bondi is the eastern suburbs of Sydney, which is about 20 kilometres in a southeasterly direction from where we are. So obviously I'm intrigued what's going on. But this also answered a lot of questions because I noticed my old Chabad rabbi is up on the stage, as you saw in the opening video sent by Elisheva, that he's now getting a lot of communication between some Bocharim and some of the local community groups, informing him of what's just happened in Bondi. So he's aware of the situation, but the crowd is not. We just know that the Central Security Group, or CSG, has locked us down. Whilst we're waiting, that's when all the messages start to come through on the WhatsApp groups. And to show you how connected the world is, I'm learning that there's a shooting 20 kilometers away from my Israeli friend in Netanya. Okay, that's how quickly the information passes through. So lo and behold, the information starts coming through quickly after that. And then all of a sudden, within about 10 minutes, a garrison of police arrive at our location in the northern suburbs of Sydney. And then we're told, everybody go home. There's been an incident in Bondi. Now the official reason comes through, and everybody go home. So with a barrier of police protection, the entire community here in Sydney, Kehilat HaDerech, pack up and leave, along with the regular Jewish community, which involved 4 different Jewish synagogues and the northern suburbs of Sydney. And then we all together started to wander off home, as we say in Australian slang. Then obviously everybody's in a somber mood because it doesn't have to be announced, because everybody's connected by their various Jewish WhatsApp groups. So I'm getting video feeds, I'm getting messages coming through telling me exactly what has happened. And within minutes, my 2 children are contacting me. Abba, are you at Bondi? Okay, no, I'm not at Bondi, I'm at St. Ives. Baruch Hashem, yeah. Then my wife, Emma, are you at Bondi? And then, no, we're at St. Ives, Baruch Hashem. So obviously the word is traveling very quickly that there's been an Islamic terrorist attack in Bondi. So the videos start coming through very quickly. I'm actually getting information whilst I'm still at the Northern Sydney Hanukkah event from my Israeli friend in Netanya. That's how quickly this information passes through. So he's sending me video from his WhatsApp groups and my WhatsApp groups. I'm in my own local Jewish WhatsApp groups, and they're sending me information, but my Netanya friend is getting more information quicker than I am. So we're seeing what's happening, and we can see there's two Muslims sitting on a pedestrian overpass bridge shooting.
Wait, David, before you describe this situation, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The event, so you're in North Sydney. This in the Bondi Beach is on the east side, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Here is my question for you. Obviously, it seems like an event that there were a lot of people in this event. So
yes, sir. But if you actually understand the topography of the location,
that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Was there no security in the East Bondi?
This perfect question, Rabbi. Perfect question. Sydney, Australia, by default, thinks or is complacent to the Muslim problem. We think that we are immune to the jihad that's going on in Europe, to the jihad that Rabbi himself has experienced in Europe and in UK. So we are naive, we are foolish, and we think that we don't have a Muslim problem. Now, in Australia, most of the Muslim problems occur in Melbourne, Australia, which is one of the southern cities, because for decades, the state government in the south of Sydney, south of Australia, which is known as the state of Victoria, has been notoriously leftist, liberal, pro-Islamic, pro-homosexual, pro-whatever, and therefore they get the majority of the Muslim coming into Melbourne. And as a result, Melbourne has a lot of problems. We even saw in December last year that a synagogue was burnt to the ground in Melbourne. So in Sydney, which is 900 kilometers, or about 800 to 900 kilometers north of Melbourne, we kind of figured, well, we're pretty much immune from that. New South Wales, or the state of New South Wales, does not have that leftist, liberal, pro-Islamic attitude that decades of our southern Victorian state has instituted into their policies. So our state here, and especially in Sydney, which is the capital of the state, has been able to maintain a very conservative, a pro-Jewish or Judeo-Christian attitude towards its society, towards its people. Today shattered all of that. And when everybody here is thinking, if there's going to be Islamic terrorism that commits mass murder, it's going to start from Melbourne. But it didn't. It started here in Sydney, and on Erev Hanukkah of all days. So what are we're seeing here? Rabbi, I'm sure you will agree with me that the Muslim has tried to bring darkness to the time of light.
You know what the interesting thing, my good friend Adi Karmi said to me something very interesting. He said, at times it will not appear like jihad, but it is a very silent jihad. And this jihad is ready to erupt. Not very different than the Greek philosophy. What did they do? They tried to infiltrate quietly to the Jewish way of life. But one day it's kind of erupt and explode in its face, and we were with you guys in August, and I saw the hatred also in Sydney. And I said to myself, And I also saw a lot of Islam in Sydney. And I said, how naive and how arrogant the Australian government and the Australian people that they don't know that this is coming to them. Tell me a little bit what actually happened. What do we know transpired? How this terror act, how did it carry, David?
Thank you, Rabbi. So obviously, in the southwestern suburbs of Sydney, this is the working class area of Sydney. This is where the Muslim have their stronghold. So most of the mosques of Sydney appear in the southwestern suburbs of Sydney. And in these areas, you have a lot of radicalism. And this is where Australian security forces, where Israel has Mossad and USA has maybe FBI. We have what's called ASIO. Okay, so ASIO spent a lot of its time down in the southwestern suburbs watching what the Muslim is up to. Do they need to watch the church? No. Do they need to watch the synagogues? No. They need to watch the mosque, because there's jihad preached in a lot of these mosques. How do I know? Before I turned religious, okay, I was just your typical Aussie guy, okay, and I say that with the Aussie slang. So I mixed with a lot of, as we say in Australia, lebos, okay. This lebo is the term for Lebanese, which is a construct on the term Muslim, okay. So when Australians refer to lebo this or lebo that, it's the terminology is Lebanese, which is Muslim. So I mixed with a lot of lebos, a lot of Muslims when I was secular. And I'm talking 20, 30, 40 years ago, even as a teenager. And even at that time, I was listening to the lebo or the Muslim saying, because I grew up in Western Sydney, I was listening to them saying how they will take over Sydney, how they will take over Australia, how they will be the dominant force in here, how the Iman is telling them that they are the superior, etc., etc. Now, as a teenager and going into my 20s, I'm stupid, I'm naive, I'm complacent to all this. I don't really understand the gravity of the situation. So I just laugh it off and think, yeah, no worries. Let's go out and have a party, because that's what Australians like to do when you're secular. Today, the reality of what I grew up with is starting to bite. So the Muslim is still to this day being preached radicalism, hate the Jew, hate the Christian. And as you should know by now, the number one target of any Muslim is the Jew. Number two target, if there's no Jews, go to the Christian. So since there's Jews here still in Sydney, then they become the number one target. Okay, that's what we're seeing. When I go into the Muslim areas as part of my work, I have my own business, and therefore I have to work all around the Sydney suburbs, which includes the Muslim areas. I will see a 50-50 approach. Some of the Muslims see me with my kippah, with my tzitzit.
You go with kippah and tzitzit openly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
And I told you, remember what I told you?
Ken, yeah.
I told you you're out of your mind.
Ani mevin. Okay.
Because all what it takes, David, is one nutcase. All what it takes is one.
Ani mevin.
So you say it's 50-50. 50% are okay. What about the other? Do you see the looks?
So the 50% will, at this stage, the 50% will look at me with that look in their eye, that look of death. Okay. Yahud. Okay. And they want to kill you. But it's just a look. There's no action. And the other 50%, my cousin, you are Jew, come and I buy you coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's at that stage. Now, have I seen a shift in that dynamic? And the answer is no, not yet. But when I do see that shift, maybe now the keeper gets replaced for a baseball cap. Maybe then the tzitzit gets tucked into my pants. But I haven't seen that shift yet. Who knows what happens?
What will it take to wake up the Australian people? Look, the government has been openly anti-Israel from the beginning, very beginning. It's turned worse. What will it take, in your humble opinion, for Australia to wake up? Maybe it's too late. Maybe it is too late. I don't know.
Rega. It does not it say in Bereshit 25:18, in the sight of his brothers he fell, and the reference there is Ishmael.
Yeah.
In the sight of his brothers he fell. This is one verse, the last verse of Vayishlach. Okay.
Yes.
So we could be witnessing the cracks in the fall of Ishmael. We are seeing the rise of anti-Islam in UK. We are seeing the rise of anti-Islam in US. Perhaps this is the catalyst.
But that's the amazing thing, David, because
Yes,
the way I understood it, what I wrote in, where is it? And maybe I can find it. But listen, this is exactly what is going to take place. It's going to start in alliance between Islam and Christianity, but what it says that ultimately there's be a greater war that is going to be taking place between Esau and Ishmael, and maybe, just maybe, this is going to lead us to this great battle. What do you think?
Well, yes, so I mean, it's got to happen on a corporate level, but it's also going to it also has to happen on an individual level. Okay, so we have to see on the boots on the ground level where Ishmael is now starting to lose its dominance. Okay, and you're starting to see that. You watch the posts that are coming onto Instagram and other social media about what's happening in UK. They're finally starting to rise up against the Islamization. Okay, Australia, we're not there yet. We will have to go through a lot more pain before we finally rise up. Okay, but if the prophecy of Genesis 25:18 that Ishmael fell in the sight of his brothers, and that's, I'm assuming that means Esav and Yaakov, okay, we're meaning Christians and Jews, that if we see that happen, we have to see the cracks before we see it happen, before it is fulfilled. Could what we're seeing in UK be the cracks starting to happen?
Which is interesting, talking about prophecy. Listen,
Yes,
page
sir.
104 in the Fall of Edom. This is what the Lord gave me 2.5 years ago. According to Psalm 83 and Psalm 2, there are two forces that initially will work together for a period of time for the common good, meaning against Israel, for the destruction of Israel, while ultimately finding themselves in a battle with each other. Who will consume whom? The Gemara gives us two opinions. The Gemara says, Rabbi Bar Chana says in the name that Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, Rome is destined to fall in the end of Persia. Alternatively, he says, Rav said, Persia is destined to fall in the end of Rome. It is going to be a battle between the Western world and the, let's call it the Christian world, Esav world, and the world of Ishmael. Who will win? I don't know who's going to win. Who's going to win in Australia? I don't know, but I know one thing. We need a generation of Hashmonaim and Maccabees to raise up. Where this
Rabbi,
they went to church.
Rega, you may not see this. You may not know this. It is the 10th anniversary. This is amazing. Talk about Leshamayim. This is the 10th anniversary of what we here in Sydney call the Cronulla riots. What is the Cronulla riots? The Cronulla is a beachside suburb of southern Sydney. Now, back in 2005, okay, so we're 20 years anniversary, back in 2005, the Muslim would come from the southwestern suburbs of Sydney and harass and sexually assault the Australian girls, and if you can imagine Australian bikini girls at the beach, etc., right? And then it got to the point where the local Australian guys would just snapped. They snapped, and in 2005, they just, any Muslim in the area, they just, to use Australian slang, they beat the crap out of them, okay? This caused 2 weeks of balagan gedola, okay? Great chaos, okay? Where the Muslim from the south of Sydney would come into the southern suburb, the beach suburb of Cronulla, and we would have fights, physical punch-up fights between the Australian patriots and the Islamic invaders. And it took 2 weeks for the Sydney authorities to quell the situation, where the police actually had to line the streets between the southwest and the southeast, right? Reason why the Muslim was coming into the south beach suburb of Cronulla is because it's the only beach suburb of Sydney with a train station. So could.
Are you saying that this battle has been going on for a while?
It's been simmering, Rabbi. It's simmering. 20 years ago, it exploded, and then it's simmering for the next 20 years, and here we are again.
David, when I was in Sydney, it appears to me, at least, it's much cooler to be a Muslim than to be a Jew, at least in Sydney. That's my opinion, sorry.
Yes, sir, but you should know by now. What does Revelation 13:16 say? He will cause all men. So what's the all men? This is the test for the Christian. I am sending the Muslim into your land, and he will test your faithfulness. Are you faithful to me, or will you succumb to their jihad? Or will you succumb to their Islamization? And we saw only a few months ago in Sydney the famous hate march with thousands and thousands of Sydney-based Christians standing with the Muslim, chanting "Free Gaza," okay, marching across the Harbour Bridge. Talk about throwing your salvation into the garbage bin when Esav and Ishmael joined together to come against Yaakov.
And that's what the Gemara says is going to happen before the final war. It is going to happen. It is happening. But maybe now there is something that will wake up. You know, I was last week in Antwerp. We saw the same thing. They arrested a man that was looking to do a terror act. It's a Russian roulette. David, talk to me about it for a second. This attack carried by 2 people, correct? Is that correct? They're still doing a manhunt right now for the other person. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There was reports that there was 3 of them. Okay, 2 of them took control of a pedestrian bridge. Now, where I was in the what we call Hanukkah on the Green, and this is the name given to the Hanukkah event in the northern suburbs on the 2nd largest Jewish community of Sydney. This was obviously a large spread out place, and there was probably about several thousand Jewish people. And if you know Sydney, the Sydney suburbs of St Ives is a very wealthy area. So the real estate is expensive. We're talking about 3 to 4 million Australian dollars per house. So obviously we've got a mix of Jewish and guess what?
Wow.
Chinese. Okay, no problem with the Chinese. Okay, they work very hard for their money. Over in the eastern suburbs, where in Bondi, the number one Jewish community of Sydney, where the average house is 3, 4, sometimes 5 million Australian dollars, then you have to come in there by public transport. Okay, so there's talk that there was 3 of them that came in by car, but
Okay.
2 of them commenced the attack. So when the videos that I have seen and the reports that I have read, especially on my Jewish WhatsApp groups, state that the 2 that committed the attack looked like pure amateurs. Okay. I mean, you've probably seen the video already
Yeah.
of an Orthodox Jewish guy running out from behind a car and disarming one of the Muslims. Okay. And then pointing a gun at him, and I really don't know why he didn't press the trigger and shoot, because you and I both know that in a time of pekuach nefesh, he's legally allowed to press that trigger. So he disarms the guy. Then the Muslim runs back to his friend, and then both are taken out by either CSG, the local Jewish security, or the police. Both forces were firing at these guys on the pedestrian bridge. Why are they on the pedestrian bridge? If you understand the topography of Sydney, the Jewish community was restricted to a car park area on Bondi Beach. Bondi Beach is a very popular tourist area. It also happens to be the number one Jewish area. How do you mix the Jewish requirements with the number one popular tourist area? Well, we'll put all the Jewish Hanukkah celebrations in this car park area. And in this car park area, there's an overhead bridge where the pedestrians can go from the main road to the beach area. And this overhead bridge now looks down into the car park area where there's several thousand Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah. Talk about the perfect position. Next question. Where was the police?
Yeah.
How did Ahmed and Abdul get onto this pedestrian overpass?
Unbelievable. A giant event like that with so many Jews. What the heck is the
Exactly. I'm local Sydney. I know exactly which overpass this pedestrian overpass they're standing on. My first question is, how did Ahmed and Abdul get onto this overpass with guns in their hands and not get stopped? Okay, so that's going to be the first question that's going to be asked in the investigations that come up in the next few days.
My goodness.
That said, Baruch Hashem, look at the zchut of the merit of Jewish people. Does not it say in the Torah that we are to protect our brothers? Okay, and you've seen the video. An Orthodox gentleman hiding behind the car, waits for the right opportunity, and then runs to Ahmed, disables him, takes the gun off. That's exactly the Jewish spirit, Rabbi. That's exactly what we would have done. I'm watching that and I'm thinking, if I was there, I would run at that Muslim myself, disarm him. Now, why didn't that Orthodox man press the trigger? That'll come out later. But for me, myself, with that inbuilt animosity, so how dare you, Ahmed? How dare you come into our event and destroy? I would have pulled the trigger. Forgive me if that is too harsh for some people.
I understand, and I'm seeing all the comments in the chat. I see a lot of people are very angry. I'm keep on reading. We thank you, by the way, those of you from Australia joining us. Not our intention to disrupt your evening, but I think we can say that Hanukkah has been disrupted to the Jewish community not just in Australia, all over the world. We are all very, very shocked and upset. David, I don't want to much more your time because I know it's a little bit, but if there's a one message you want to convey, well, and people should know that you guys are the only Messianic synagogue in Sydney. Let's be very honest about this. The
Sorry,
Messianic.
Rabbi. Sorry, Rabbi. It went really muffled. I couldn't understand a
Sorry
word.
about
Can you
that.
repeat, please?
I said people should know you guys are the only Messianic congregation in Sydney, and there's darkness that is looming. What is the message? Because we've done an event. God is placing my heart to do an event in Australia. We did an event in Australia, and it was a great event. But only a small fraction from Christians actually came to the event, which had to do with what we're talking about now. What's your message, David, in light of this tragedy to both Australians, Christians, and even to the Messianic community in Australia?
Well, Rabbi, forgive me. A lot of us here in Sydney look at you as a modern day Shaul. As Shaul travelled amongst the Goyim and spread the message of Mashiach, so too do you travel amongst the Goyim and spread the message of Mashiach. So our mandate is to go to the Goyim and spread the message of Mashiach, okay? And we use you as our catalyst in order to create that interest, if you know what I mean. The big problem we've got here in Australia is generation after generation of being told we are the, quote, lucky country. Now, some of you, your audience, may have heard of this. Australians have been indoctrinated that we are the lucky country. When a man thinks that everything is going well, he thinks it's because of him. When a person is wealthy with richness, with prosperity, he thinks it's because of him. So Australia is often known as a godless country. Why? Because we're so blessed, we're the lucky country, everything's going well. So therefore, who needs a God? That's our problem. That's why we are so complacent, and that's why the Muslim sees us as an easy target, as we experienced today.
Oh, yeah. So here's the short message. By the way, David, thank you for sacrificing your time, and even the light of all of this, we wish you a happy anniversary. We continue to pray for the local community also in Sydney, Australia, the Messianic community. Thank you, David, for being with us. Here's a few final thoughts from me, and I'm just going to echo the word we hear a few minutes ago. We need God. We need God to come to the godless country. We need an uprising like a Maccabean Hashmonaim uprising right now. It says in the book of Matthew that the time the kingdom of God have to be taken by violence, by Hamas. Several years ago, I wrote this book, The New Hamas. I have a chidush for everybody here today. We need to turn to a holy Hamas, a holy vengeance, holy fire by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses, and Aaron, by the Nevi'im, and by David Melech, and by our Mashiach. Today, we need to turn to this holy fire. And I pray today that this tragedy, first and foremost, awaken the Jewish community, awaken them, protect them, guard them, and watch them. But secondly, who will stand in the breach of the Jewish people. The prophet Ezekiel says in Ezekiel 22, I could find none that would stand up in the breach. Did you notice? This terror act is a small scale of the Nova terrorist act. Public event, a lot of children, a lot of people to make sure that there is fear. Well, here's our message. We, the sons of light, the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we will not bow down to darkness or to fear. The light will overcome. And together, with the help of the heavens, we will light the Hanukkah lights and we will continue forward. Because the coming of our Shamash, our Mashiach, is near upon us. I'm sorry to bring you today this report, but this report is a wake-up for all of us tonight to light and to remember the communities who have been experienced by darkness. We will never bow down to it. Please consider supporting this work so that we, Havat Ami International, can go and spread light. The only thing that is going through my mind is how can we get back to Australia and how can we wake up more believers to choose God, to choose Jacob, and choose the Jewish people. May we will be able to do it. I'm going to see you tonight for our first night of Hanukkah. For those of you from the other side of the world, we are lighting today with you. With you. We will not forget this Am Yisrael Chai. I'll see you this evening. Thank you, everybody, for being there. Continue to pray for our work and the community in Australia.